Sad morning here in Australia after that terrorist attack yesterday on Bondi Beach. There's 16 people have lost their lives, including a 10-year-old girl, 42 in hospital, including 2 police officers. And we're chasing down the possibility that one of the police officers shot could be a Queenslander, at least his family's from Brisbane, because they're getting a police escort down to Sydney this morning. Hopefully we can get some details on that. I know you're very passionate and upset this morning about this, as is expected. It's not just an attack on the Jewish community. This is an attack on Australia. And this rubbish shouldn't be happening in our country. Joining us now and giving us a call on the show, and we appreciate this, is the leader of One Nation, Pauline Hanson. Good morning, Pauline.
Good morning. Hello.
I guess you're the same as all of us this morning, and you put out a very good statement last night, but I guess as you wake up this morning and hearing about the death toll rising, I have no doubt you're in shock and angry like we are.
I certainly am. I'm absolutely devastated for the Jewish community, for my fellow Australian citizens. This should never have happened, and it could have been avoided. I believe it could have. You know, you're always going to have these people who have their ideology, who just have pure hatred in their hearts. They targeted the Jewish community. They didn't deserve that. And I blame the Prime Minister for this. He's been so weak in trying to deal with the hatred that's happened on our streets for the last 2 years. He's done nothing about it. And even the people that he still brings in the country, you know, we've got to take a stronger stance in who we bring into the country, who we allow here. There has been full checks on them, the backgrounds, and I don't know the background of these men. I have no idea. But when you have people that target a Jewish community, it makes you wonder what their background is. You just think, anyone. So anyway, we'll wait and see what the evidence comes out with regards to that. But, you know, I spoke to the Jewish community, you know, over the period of time, and they were in fear for their lives, for the safety of their children. And they've actually started fleeing the country because they don't feel safe here anymore. Where was the responsibility taken up by 19 state premiers, but also the Prime Minister? There was none. Yeah. And when these people couldn't walk the streets in peace and they were abused, and when you've seen over the years these clerics that are on the streets preaching their hate, what was done about them? Nothing. And then we have these federal members of parliament protecting their own votes in these communities. And I know for a fact there is areas that you can't go because you're banned to go there or you feel uncomfortable and unsafe.
Yeah, and I know, Pauline, you've been the victim of a lot of that, and you cop it all the time. But you know what? Just looking at half the text messages this morning here on 4BC, I can't even read out, Pauline. And a lot of them are mentioning your name and saying, Pauline's been warning us about this for many, many years. And just to go on to one of your comments, I mean, it's not, and this was in your statement last night, I mean, the Prime Minister never heeded any of the warnings. I mean, it's not as if this is something new. These protests have been at times disgusting. And I hope those people who marched in Brisbane and across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, those who chanted, kill the Jews, I hope that today they know they've got blood on their hands.
They have got blood on their hands, and the premiers never stopped it. The courts try to stop it. The police try to stop it. The courts allow it to happen, and that's, you know, so frustrating. Who runs this country? Well, we're in, you know, fear of these people who have gained so much, you know, control. We've got to look at other countries around the world and learn from their mistakes. And we've got to say no. You know, we've been open to allow so many people into the country who've contributed to this beautiful country in so many ways, those migrants that come here for a peaceful way of life. And then you've got others that have hate in their hearts. They come from these radicalised countries that, you know, who see themselves as martyrs, who just, you know, have no regard for anyone else but their own, you know, what they want to push. And that's what the Palestinian March was about. It wasn't about, you know, stopping the war. You know, the war was stopped and the march still went on. There was a hidden agenda with all this. I could see the writing on the wall. But the Prime Minister and the Premiers did absolutely nothing about it. And the Jewish children, I had a meeting with them just at the last sitting Parliament. They're on the at the front of the Parliament there, and I had a talk with them. You know, this lovely group of boys that just wanted peace, and they said they were bullied and pushed and, you know, punched up. It shouldn't be happening here. But anyway, it's up to the Australian people now. And you know what? I'd love to force that the Prime Minister into an election. I want him to face the people now and see how he feels about it. It's just not about this. It's about the whole demise of this country and where we're headed. And I'm disgusted where it's going. But this is the turning point for the Labor Party and the Albanese Labor government, who are gutless, weak, pathetic, and the worst Prime Minister I have ever seen. So if he thinks that he's in tune with the people, let him go to an election and let the people have their say.
Pauline Hanson, some very strong words there, and I can't disagree with you, to be honest. And I know you're very emotional about this. You're very hurt about this, like most Australians are today. This is our beautiful country. We are 10 days out from Christmas. And even my wife last night, Pauline, said, why does this always happen around Christmas? And Pauline, we know why. We know why, and we've got to do better to protect our citizens.
Yes, we do. And you start looking at the people we bring into the country, stronger laws to rein in these people. And what I heard, and I don't know if it's true, that was firecrackers set off last night in celebration of this attack on the Australian people. If that is the case, I would actually get footage of that and I'd round these people up and I'd have them investigated. This is a type of scum we don't want in this country. If they can celebrate, as they did October the 2nd, the death of innocent people, they're the type of people I don't want in this country. And I'm not targeting, please, I am not targeting, and Muslims in general. Go after fundamentalists, those with those ideology. And I'll tell you nothing, that's why I wanted to ban the burqa, because these are people who are the fundamentalists who want to control the women, and they have their own ideology. If you banned the burqa, they wouldn't come to this country because then they can't control their women and cover them up. There's a reason why I put things out. And not only that, it is incompatible with our culture and our way of life.
Pauline Hanson, I appreciate your time calling in on 4BC Breakfast this morning, and no doubt we're going to hear more and more about this in days to come. And just to finish off, you're right. Not all Muslim people are terrible people, and some of them are quite beautiful and have embraced the Australian way of life. And a great example was Ahmed El Ahmed, the guy who wrestled one of those terrorists with the gun yesterday. He's just a father of two, 43, owns a fruit shop in Sutherland in Sydney. He's a hero. And going by his name this morning, I'm assuming he's a Muslim as well. So not all Muslims are bad people.
No, correct. And he is a hero. And I had a Muslim woman who, was born Muslim, who stood for me as a candidate in Sydney. So I'm not anti-Muslim at all. I'm anti their ideology and the hatred that they have in their hearts for many people who don't believe in their religion and their way of life. And it's not just religion, it's a political ideology that will destroy Western societies. And as we've seen, as I said before, many other countries around the world, whether you look at France, Canada, UK, Denmark, Sweden, all these countries are learning by the mistakes of allowing these fundamentalists in. Strengthen the citizenship oath. Make it 10 years, 8 to 10 years before you can get the citizenship in this country. And then if there are any hint of their violence, then just deport them. And you know what? I deport the whole family. Get rid of the whole lot out of the country. It's that hatred is spread, and the radicalisation that is happening in our country. Even look, I can go on and on, but I won't, Jason. There's things that need to be investigated here to have an open mind. But don't criticise people like myself because I speak out about this and call me Islamophobic or call me a racist, because that's why we're in the mess that we're in today. It's not the country I grew up in, and I have been saying that for the last 3 decades, 30 years. Now Australians are finally waking up and saying exactly what I've been saying, but I could see the writing on the wall because I've read so many books, I've spoken to people, I've understood, and I've watched what's going on around the world. It's only if you close your eyes and your heart that you will not really understand what is happening here, and you think she'll be right, mate. Well, those days are gone. Australians will notice a difference in our country. So, and I want Australians to feel safe. I want their children to feel safe. I want you to be able to go wherever you want to in this country without being in fear for your safety. And we've got to get that back. And I believe we can. With strong leadership, we can get this back. But Albanese is not the man for it either, as his ministers who are so pathetic, like Giles and Claire and Burke. Absolutely pathetic ministers, the worst I have ever seen. And I want to see them gone. And that's my view. So,
Pauline,
when they have the right to vote again.
You're very emotional. You're very passionate about this. It's great to hear, and I appreciate you joining me this morning on this massive day, this sad day in Australia. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Pauline Hanson, the leader of One Nation. As always, very opinionated, and I tell you what, she speaks the truth, and I could just, the text machine here at 4BC is just blowing up with your feedback on that. And it's right, not all Muslims are bad people. Far from it. But these, with ideologies that just want to hurt the Western way of life, I agree with Pauline. There's no place for you in Australia. There's none.